Alrighty, Vikings Game Plan, TCO Studios, nearing the finish line. Paul Allen, Ron Johnson, Fox 9's Vikings Game Day Live and Vikings Live Thursday night live show from TCO Studios. Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network. 8-3, bye week, Seattle next. Let's take a look at some things that have been outstanding for the Vikings through the first 11 games. At the top of the list for many would be this guy, Dalvin Cook. His rushing yards, his rushing TDs, fantastic. Did you know into the Denver Broncos game, Dalvin had the most scrimmage yards running and catching of anybody in the history of Vikings football through 10. He does it all.
Yeah, he does it all, and it showed the fact that he only had 26 yards rushing. He still was able to help out in the pass game with 31 yards receiving. But I think the biggest key is the number of ways they can use them. So they run them, they also screen them, but then they have the play-action screen, which teams still haven't figured out. You saw in the Dallas game, he wasn't touched until about 9 to 14 yards down the field on those. And then same in the Denver game, once they started to key in on him, Kirk Cousins had other guys. So I think he helps the offense as well because you have to keep 7 guys in the box, and that's why Dalvin Cook is so special.
Yes, sir.
Well, Paul, you as a defense, you want to stop what an offense does well. And early on in the season, it was stop the running game. Well, you know what? Denver did a pretty good job of stopping the running game, but they still gave up over 20 points in the second half because of the fact of that versatility. We can throw the ball and win. We can run the ball and win. You're not dependent upon either one, and Dalvin Cook is the big part of that because you want to run it and hand it off to him, you can do that. If you need to throw screens and get him get him out in space where he can make a guy miss, he's good enough to do that as well.
Boy, I love how Ron started that and Pete finished it. It's perfect leading into the conquering. Kirk conquering the NFL because you can slow Dalvin. And then all of a sudden, the Denver game became a passing game. He exploded in the second half through his last 7 games, 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. Ron, you watch all the games critically from where he was at Lambeau Field, maybe the worst game of his career, to where he is now. What are you appreciating?
Well, the one thing I'm appreciating, if you look at both touchdowns, he was rolling out to his left, through left. And so a lot of times a right-handed quarterback, you don't expect that to happen. And that's why I think teams are still surprised that he can do it, but he's doing a great job of it. But one thing, when going left or throwing to the middle, he's 134 for 184, 72.8%, which is third of quarterbacks throwing 50 or more passes.
Ooh.
Only behind Drew Brees and Derek Carr.
Somebody got some numbers.
18 touchdowns, he's first in the NFL, and 129.5 passer rating, which is first in the NFL.
Wow.
So he definitely should be in the MVP conversation for that alone.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go, Pete, is that Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I mean, all the big names. Kirk Cousins, too.
He has to be in there. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be a team-based award because all 3 of those quarterbacks are great. What's different about Kirk Cousins, Paul? He got sacked 3 times, I believe, in the first half. 8th fumble, lost his 4th one, right? This is his third lost fumble. We've seen him before like that get skittish in the pocket. He was not that in the second half. Most of the changes with him have become between his ears. He has accepted the challenge of what people have said, what coaches have said, what his teammates may have said, and he's attacking it. It's his attitude that's different. You saw that in the second half of that Denver game. That's what's propelling him to the top.
Yeah, the one thing I liked about it, though, the touchdown to Stephon Diggs, by the time the camera got back to Kirk, he was on the sideline with his hat on. So he was like, this is business. Like, you guys can go celebrate and enjoy Stephon Diggs' touchdown. I'm going to go look at this Microsoft tablet and make sure I know what's happening next.
Let's amplify it, by the way. Stephon Diggs, 13 receptions this year of 25 yards or more. Most in the NFL. Diggs, the number 1 deep threat in the NFL. Now, overcoming adversity, as Ron and Pete know because of their playing days, it is so critical to getting to the ultimate goal, which is getting the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl. And, you can look at winning in prime time, winning that exciting game at Dallas, or the injuries they've had. But, Ron, that comeback against Denver, I mean, that really goes a long way to defining your character.
That was a never give up moment. From the start to the finish, they never gave up in that game. It was down 20. Nobody gave them a chance in America. 99 other teams had tried that and lost in the last 5 years. Kirk Cousins was the one that changed it. So that's a way to take that game and say, hey, if we go into Seattle and we're down, I know we can bring it back.
The great thing about this, Paul, is no matter how a game starts, they're never going to, for the rest of this season at least, think that they're out of it. I remember back in '98, we were 15-1, and the attitude when we needed someone to make a play, it wasn't that if we make the play. The question was, who is going to make
like
the
Gary
play.
Henderson.
And that's a very subtle but
sorry.
important difference.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you can just, as a coach, come to them and say, you got to believe in yourself. No, that has to be manufactured. That has to be done.
Yeah.
And they've done that. And so those guys right now, as they leave, as they take their weekend off, they have a lot more faith in each other than they've ever had.
Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network, Ron Johnson, Fox 9, and I'm Paul Allen. Privileged to bring you the bye-week edition of Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios. Next time you see us, we will be providing the winning formula for hopefully a victory at Seattle. On behalf of the Vikings Entertainment Network crew, thanks for watching.